We know from many processes of organizational change that often in a journey of transformation, what's most important is least visible to the eye. In other words, there's an invisible dimension of leadership and there is an invisible dimension of change that in ULAB we are going to unpack. So for example, if we look at the current situation, we talked a little bit about kind of the three divides and kind of the current moment. If we look at the current situations, then kind of one way of talking about it is what we really need to make happen, what we have agreed on as a global community really to make happen is the Sustainable Development Goals represented here. And if you really want to accomplish them, and if we really want to realize the processes of planetary healing and societal regeneration or civilizational regeneration that come with it, then the only way of doing that, the only way of really making that happen is by shifting the quality of relationships, is by shifting the quality of the social field from toxic to co-creative. Or you could say kind of from merely transactional to transformative. So what is a social field? A social field is the quality of relationships among the stakeholders in a system that collectively enact these results. So if you want to change these results, what you need to do is to shift the quality of relationship. And the only way of doing that, and that's what we have learned really in the past 70 years of change management, the only way you really shift these relationships and realize behavioral change is by creating a support structure. A support structure that is providing access to the methods and tools and spaces that support the journey of transformation. And that also is helping to build the collective capacity that we need within and between organizations to respond to the waves of disruptive change and also the opportunities and possibilities that come with that are coming our way from the emerging future. So ULAB really is part of what we think of as global commons, right? We need a new quality of global commons that basically provide these transformational learning infrastructures. And ULAB is part of that because it gives access, it democratizes the access to the methods, the tools, and the spaces that support transformation. The theory of change that underlies ULAB suggests that the quality of results in any kind of system is a function of the quality of relationships among the stakeholders who are enacting that system. And that to change the quality of this relationship, you really need to change the mindsets from a silo to a systems view, or to use a different word, you need to change the awareness from an ego-system-centric view to an ecosystem-centric view. So what really does it take to shift awareness from an ecosystem perspective to an ecosystem perspective? It takes a journey that's both an outer journey and an inner journey. And the outer journey is moving us into the places of most potential, kind of where we can move into a mode of observe, 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 beginning to sense and see our own system from the edges, kind of from a new perspective that is revealing kind of new opportunities. And it's also an inner journey, kind of that allows us to go to the places of stillness, to the places where inner knowing comes to surface. And then if both of these processes, kind of the outer journey and the inner journey, come together and a spark of possibility begins to show up, we explore these possibilities by prototyping something very quickly, by acting in an instant, by exploring the future by doing. So that's basically kind of these three gestures observe, 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 retreat and reflect, allow the inner knowing to emerge, and then act in an instant. Those three gestures kind of are the three basic foundations of the U process. But the inner heart of that process really is, and that makes this whole process work, has to do with accessing these inner sources of knowing. Accessing the open mind, the open heart, and the open will, aka accessing our curiosity, our compassion, and our courage. That was the basic foundation of the U process and the initial articulation of Theory U. Then we try to apply that, right? We try to kind of explore that and refine this concept in practical experiments. And what we learned is to really make this happen in practical applications, there are two more things that come into play. You need to do something before and something after, right? Before you move into these three movements, which is observe, observe, access the inner knowing, and then kind of the exploring the future by doing, before you do that, you need to come together, because often this deals with kind of multiple stakeholders who come together in the process of shifting how a system works, or kind of creating a result, kind of, or exploring an opportunity that isn't fully defined yet. You need to, in the beginning, uncover common ground and uncover the shared intention. And when you then go through that whole process and you come up with some seeds of the future, with some really interesting, promising prototypes, you want to then add kind of something, a process step that we call co-evolving, and that really is about how to embody the new in practices, right? In practices that are grounded in the entire ecosystem, not just kind of in one single organization. So that's these 5 stages, right? That's kind of how we currently really make the U process practical. That's kind of the foundation for many, many institutional and grassroots change initiatives from around the world. And it's also the basic architecture of the U process in ULab. So in other words, it is kind of an outline of the journey that we will embark on together over the next few weeks.